made in Korea Goodyear welted shoes any good? Specifically these Wholecuts, which Josepht, a Korean brand offering a range of affordable made in Korea shoes in popular silhouettes, recently gave to me. And by affordable, I mean $259 for this Wholecut, or $230 if you use my discount code, or if you're based in Korea, they only go for about $150. If all that sounds too good to be true, well, spoiler alert, you get what you pay for. So, without saying anything more, let's start with the uppers. So this is the Josepht 104 Wholecut Oxford. It has a slightly elongated, soft chisel toe that lends itself to an elegant silhouette, so much so that I'd only wear this with a suit or an odd trouser or jacket combo. I guess you could wear it with just a shirt and a pair of trousers, but somehow it doesn't look quite right to me. Anyway, I think the nicest part about this shoe are the uppers. They come lightly polished on the toe and heel fresh out of the box, which is always welcome because I hate polishing my shoes. But more importantly, the leather is a box cuff from Weinheimer. Yes, that same Weinheimer from Germany that many other higher-end brands also source their leathers from. And I'm glad they did, because the thing about Wholecuts is that any defects on the leather will be more obvious, so it's actually impressive that Josepht went for them despite the shoe's low price point. Up close, you can see it has a dense, tight grain with a uniform finish and a subtle sheen. Okay, next, the stitching. Don't think I can find any issues with it, and the tongue has this slot to hold onto the laces. It isn't visible when laced up, so I'm quite indifferent about it. In terms of construction, the shoe has a 270-degree Goodyear welt. The welt is made from an Italian leather, and its relatively wide width kinda takes away from its elegance. Likewise for the heel block that doesn't sit close to the heel. Then again, keep in mind, this is an entry-level shoe, so the lack of finesse is to be expected. On the inside, the shoe features a leather-lined interior and an Autolite foam insert. It's just a thin layer, but I suppose it does help to make the break-in process more bearable. Below it, there's a leatherboard insole, as well as a leatherboard heel counter and toe stiffener. Okay, moving on to the outsole, you've got a sturdy leather sole finished with a Vibram half sole. The images online only show a leather sole, but Josepht told me this model has since been updated with the half sole. Regardless, again, don't expect the highest level of finishing. By that, I mean the sole has 5 stitches per inch, the edge isn't smoothly sanded down, and the heel is made from a block of wood, not stacked leather. That's it, there are some redeeming qualities. For one, the Vibram top lift is nailed onto the heel block, and there's a strip of decorative wheeling along the heel, though somewhat faint. For another, more interestingly, there's an additional row of stitches across the waist. I believe it helps to better secure the rubber onto the leather sole, but on the other hand, because the leather isn't scuffed down, you can see the extra layer of rubber from the side, which detracts from the elegant lines. And finally, the metal shank. Pretty standard on welted shoes. I'd say it's definitely one of the stiffer shoes I've handled, at least initially. Not because of the shank, but because the forefoot hardly had any give or flex. But as with most leather soles, they eventually soften up after a couple of wears. In terms of fit, I went with my usual UK 6.5 and it fit well lengthwise and slightly narrow on my wide feet. There's no heel slip, so that's good, but for the first 2 wears, it shaved the back of my heel, so I stuck on a heel pad. Also, because of my low volume foot, you can see it doesn't hug my foot snugly around my instep even after fully tightening the laces. In fact, I need to tighten them beyond their limit and force the quarters to overlap to get a secure fit. Not the best look, but I've been doing this for some of my other shoes, so at this point it doesn't bother me. These are obviously entry-level shoes, so if you're expecting the finer details, you'd be massively disappointed. That's it. I think it's an okay buy if you want the Wholecut look without breaking the bank. Maybe try out the style before investing in other higher quality brands. I like how they didn't skimp on the uppers because, in my opinion, that's the most important part of a Wholecut. Other parts of the shoe, they did cut corners, and the finishing isn't the best, but neither is it totally trash. And at the end of the day, it's Goodyear welted. So you can always ask your cobbler to upgrade the materials and finishing when it's time for a resole. For my money, I'd rather pay a bit more and go for brands like Brilliant or Meermin. Unless you're based in Korea, then for sure, this would be one heck of a deal. So yeah, if for some reason you still want this shoe, remember to use this code for 11% off your order. Or if you wanna check out my other Josepht shoe reviews, go click on one of these. Okay, until next time, stay subtle.